I invite you for this meditation to have your feet on the floor. So imagine that beneath your feet, what's down there? There's a floor, there may be a basement. Below that, there's soil and rock and minerals. And there's perhaps water and layer upon layer of ancient civilizations when our ancestors came across the Bering Strait and settled in the central part of North America. And below that, sediment and layer upon layer until you reach the center of the earth, all beneath your feet. And the planet is still forming beneath our feet. There's a lot of energy, a lot of activity down there that no one's ever seen. And then imagine all that energy coming up through all those layers of geological time, coming back to your feet, into your body, all that energy in your limbs, in your organs, giving strength to your ears, your eyes, your heart, your mind, so that they can be awake to love and to work. That is the title of a hymn I'd like to give you the first line to. Awake, awake to love and work, the lark is in the sky. The fields are wet with diamond dew. The world's awake to cry their blessings on the Lord of life as God goes meekly by. Amen. And I'm going to turn it right over to Leslie because I introduced her in the video. If you didn't get a chance to look at the video, I invite you to look at it this week as it deepens our understanding and appreciation of nonviolent communication. Over to you, Pastor Leslie.
All right, thank you, Jeffrey. Nonviolent communication, people very often have a reaction to that title. Well, I'm not violent. Why do I need, and so I don't want to go into the whole explanation, but my preferred way of talking about this model is calling it empowering communication. It's beautifully empowering all around in my experience. And if we have time, which I doubt we'll have, I can talk about the name. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is take about a few minutes to recap just how we make a distinction in nonviolent communication of why feelings and needs are so important and what defines them. Feelings are something that arise from within. They're not good or bad. We may like some feelings. We may like to be excited and exuberant more than we like being frustrated and irritated. But they're not good or bad because they tell us if I'm feeling irritated, then some need of mine is not met. Maybe it's cooperation, maybe it's companionship, maybe it's truth, something like that. So feelings aren't good or bad. They're just part of our physiology. And they help us know what's true for us. And the other distinction I want to make is that feelings, we often use words like I feel like, I feel that. And those phrases, what comes after them is a thought, not a feeling, according to NVC. So, I feel that this situation is hopeless. I feel you are not doing your part. So those kinds of phrases, we just want to be very aware, so we use feeling in a different way, so that we talk about feelings that arise from within, sad, happy, frustrated, those kinds of things. What are needs? Needs are what we are valuing. They're what help us thrive, and they're universal. Every human has these needs. So if you're ever in doubt whether something is a need or the contrast is strategy, ask yourself, does every human being need this? I need a clean kitchen. That's a strategy because not every human being on the planet needs a clean kitchen. I need respect. every human being at some time or another needs respect. So that's how we make that quick distinction. All right. So what is in nonviolent communication, we have this amazing, important hub between the relationship between the feelings and needs. And we're going to do an exercise to kind of practice that. So I want everybody to think about a complaint you have about a situation. This can be in the community, in your family, at work. Choose something that's not too intense, like a complaint about, you know, I don't know, people not wearing their masks properly in the grocery store, or not getting some chores done you wish you'd gotten done, or, I mean, it can be a bigger thing, but bring up a complaint that does not have to do with your partner if you're in pairs. We don't want to do any marriage circles during this short time we have. So everybody come up with a complaint that you can express in one sentence when you're put in a group, you're going to be with a partner. So something you feel comfortable talking about publicly with this person you don't know who it's going to be in your dyad.
So Leslie, this is where people can use that instruction sheet, right?
Yes. Let's get the instruction sheet out. Yes, the speaker is going to speak a complaint in 1 or 2 sentences. Okay, so I would like, I'm wondering if somebody might be willing to just do this with me as a demo for us. Is there anybody in the group here who would enjoy doing a quick demo with me? Okay, Jean?
Can it have any political overtones?
Sure. Well, but in this case, actually, I'm going to be the speaker. You're going to be the empathizer.
Okay.
So, but yeah, when you're in your dyad, you can use something with political overtones. Okay? Actually, mine is along those lines. So, Jean, you're going to be as if we're in a dyad, right?
Okay.
Okay. So what you and I both need is the instructions, if we have it. You can probably remember this if you don't have the instruction sheet. And then this feelings and needs sheet. There are feelings at the top of the sheet when our needs are met. Sometimes we might call those positive feelings. Feelings when our needs are not met, we might call those negative. I don't, because I think they're all valuable. And then at the bottom of the page, universal human needs. This is not an exhaustive list. If your partner in this exercise says a feeling that's not on there, just go with it. You know, it's likely gonna just work fine, this exercise. All right, so in this case, now Jean and I are a dyad, and I'm gonna speak my complaint in 1 or 2 sentences. When I read one newspaper and many articles daily, and I stay up to date on the news. When I think about how divided our country is and the challenges we face, I feel, and then I'm going to look at my feeling and need sheet and come up with, you know, words that work for me, either on this sheet or not. I feel sad. I feel alarmed. I feel fragile. And even sometimes I feel despairing. Now, Jean is going to take note of those words that I said. She's the listener, I'm the speaker. And she's going to take note that I said fragile, alarmed, sad, despairing. And then Jean is going to look at her sheet at the bottom of the page, and she's going to look at the needs that might be true for me, needs that are not met. So Jean, why don't you look at some of those universal human needs, and why don't you circle 2 or 3 that you think might be true for me?
So I circled learning. You value learning, empowerment,
Okay,
and
so
a shared reality.
just circle them, and then this is what you're going to do. you're gonna make an empathic guess to me. You're gonna say, Leslie, is it that you're feeling sad and fragile and despairing because you're needing learning or because you're needing? So try that. Make a couple empathic guesses. Are you feeling, and then fill in the feeling words, because you're needing?
Are you feeling sad, alarmed, and despairing because you're needing to be in a world where you have a shared reality with other people?
And I'm going to let Jean make a couple empathic guesses. Go ahead.
Because you need a shared reality. Okay, so are you feeling shared, alarmed, and fragile because you value people doing their own learning and understanding the world around them? And do you feel sad, alarmed, and fragile because you value collaboration and you can't collaborate with people who don't keep up to speed?
Okay, now I'm going to take those in. I want the speaker who's receiving this empathic guess to just really take it in. And I'm going to speed this up for the demo purposes. But those landed for me. Now I'm going to say which ones landed. Maybe some landed more than others. Some of those. Yes, to a shared reality. That is so beautiful to hear you say that. To have a sense that, you know, the truth, the data that we're all taking in is the same, you know, and that's a huge need. It's less about learning, although wanting learning for other people is certainly there. Yeah, the biggest one that really landed is a shared reality of, you know, the impact, the difficulties that we're facing and what they are. So that felt wonderful. So that, and then in this exercise, when you're with your pair, then after these, see, this is only a 5-minute exercise, we'll switch. And then Jean will become the speaker and I'll become the listener. She'll speak her complaint. She'll name what feelings she has connected with that complaint. Then I will take that in. I will look at maybe what needs are not met for her. I will make an empathic guess. And we're phrasing it in this very particular way for a reason. We can talk about that later. But are you feeling because you're needing? Okay. Are there any questions about this exercise?
Stay in the main room, those of you who don't have the papers, and you will do the exercise together. So one of you in the dyad will be the speaker, and one of you will be listener. And
listener, to keep track of time. Somebody, you know, look at their watch or set up their phone so you know that each person has 5 minutes.
Right. So, yeah, 5 or 6.
Well, 6. I said 6. It was sort of a buffer minute.
Okay. So it'll be 6, and then for the other 6. And then I'm going to try to set up the breakout rooms so that you'll get a 2-minute note before you'll be sent back to the main room. Okay, the rooms are now assigned, and here we go.
Okay, so we're going to do this exercise just as a group, those of us who are here. And I'm wondering if there's somebody who has a complaint, a fresh complaint they would like to speak, we're going to put you, somebody else will be I'll coach you to be the empathizer. And then the rest of us are just going to watch and be part of it that way as witnesses. So is there somebody who has a complaint they would like to be the speaker? So among these, not to make this is not complicated. This is about connecting with someone what's true for them. That's what it is. It's just hearing. It's hearing behind their words maybe what is really true for them. And I think empathy is rare in our world, and it feels so incredibly wonderful when we receive it. So that's what we're working on here. Is there anybody in this main room who has a complaint that you feel comfortable sharing with the group? Eleanor?
Yes.
All right.
I feel sad and really despairing about the confusion on voting within the United States, because I'm afraid people are just going to give up because there's such confusion.
Ah. Eleanor told us that she feels sad and despairing about the situation for voters. Order and clarity are really important to Eleanor from the leadership in our country, so that people have, and let me think, and reassurance that laws will be upheld, voting rights will be upheld. Does anybody else have another? So I'm saying reassurance and leadership, sort of shared power and leadership might be needs. We're brainstorming, Eleanor, so we're not making our empathic guess yet. Is there anybody else who has a guess about what needs of Eleanor's are not met? I'm gonna look at my universal human needs sheet here and see if there's some others. I'm actually gonna write on my sheet.
Leslie, Jennifer Guy here. I think she might be her need for security, knowing that we live in a secure world. Also in terms of feeling maybe cooperation, living in a society where there's cooperation.
Cooperation, yep.
Oh,
Okay.
and maybe also dependability. She has a need for dependability, and that's being threatened.
And is that Jennifer speaking?
Yes.
Okay, Jennifer, now would you be willing to form that into an empathic guess? Like this: Eleanor, are you feeling sad and despairing about our voting situation in this country because you're needing? So will you try that?
Eleanor, are you feeling, I've forgotten your words, worried and despondent because it makes you feel insecure?
Because you're needing security and dependability and cooperation. You want to try that?
Sure. Eleanor, are you feeling some despair about some of the confusion we've had over election procedures? Because you need, how am I doing? You need dependability and reassurance that we live in a cooperative society. Was that almost it, Leslie?
Beautiful, beautiful. As far as, and it goes to my ears, you got this. Okay, Cynthia, do you have an empathic guess too?
I'm wondering, Eleanor, if you are feeling sad and despairing because you feel that our society does not exhibit a sense of community and belonging and acceptance of everyone, that not everyone's feeling a chance for their choice, to be empowered for their choice to be heard. There's a lack of harmony.
So what I'm hearing you say, Cynthia, is that you are making an empathic guess about needs for empowerment and let's see, what was the other need you said?
Acceptance, belonging.
Yes, acceptance, belonging, inclusion. So I'm wondering if you'll just, I know this is sort of formulaic and it may sound stilted, but try this form. Are you feeling sad and despairing because you're needing inclusion for all the people in our society? You're needing belonging. You're needing empowerment. You want to try that?
Yes, I didn't write fast enough, but yes. Eleanor, are you feeling sad and despairing about the voting in the country because you need a sense of community and acceptance and empowerment so that everyone has choice?
Oh, beautiful. I love it. So now let's just let Eleanor take those in. Jennifer made an empathic guess. Cynthia made an empathic guess. Eleanor, tell us which ones landed for you.
Inclusion, empowerment. I'm sorry, I didn't write these down. I should have been writing them down. I didn't know.
I think Jennifer said security and dependability.
Dependability is very important. Dependability, inclusion, empowerment.
Yeah.
But the
Now-
dependability is paramount, I'd say.
Say that again.
Dependability is paramount, and that means
Yeah.
the lines must be very carefully drawn so people know exactly what lies ahead of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us how, now we're going to actually do a little debrief here because we don't have time to do another one. Tell us if you experienced what you experienced in your body or heart or mind as people made these empathic guesses to you.
I felt reassured when they understood what I was trying to say, and that dependability and that the lines, you know, and inclusion, those were so important because I think it solved what I'm confused, what I'm worried about, and upset about, and despairing.
Yeah. I want to tell you that when at the beginning, right at the end, right after Jennifer had made her empathic guesses, I took this deep, deep breath. Like Jennifer's empathic guesses affected me. You know, I felt a shift in my body probably because I also identify with those very things, you know, needing belonging, inclusion, security, protection for this process, which is the foundation of our democracy. So, this is it, that an empathic guess, look how fast it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's easy to do, to say a few words. It's not a lot. In fact, simplifying it, there's nothing, I don't want to create a right and wrong about how we make that empathic guess. Because first and foremost, it's about connecting with what's true for the other person. But the reason I do this, we create this formula, is because we're linking the feelings and the needs together. I'm feeling because I'm needing, and I'll say a little more about that when we get back into the everybody together. So just putting that formula in place it's not required, but it's good practice. It's like practicing your scales on a piano. The more you do it, the more it becomes second nature. You know, connecting the feelings and the needs together. And the feelings don't have to be, I mean, when in doubt, say the need. If some people are very uncomfortable talking about feelings in their life, skip the feelings. I think it's a beautiful connection. Are you feeling sad and despairing because, it's just a beautiful connection to put those together. But when in doubt, is it that you're needing? Is it that you're longing for? Is it that you're really wanting security and belonging for everyone? That's the crux of it right there. It looks like almost everyone's back, if not everyone. So yep. I would like to take a couple minutes. Let me check on the time. Oh, good, we're in good shape. I would like any comments from those who participated in this, either as a witness or as the speaker or listener, because in our group we had some witnesses, how it was to experience this exercise, and if it kind of worked for you or didn't, whether you had a shift when somebody was making an empathic guess. And I'm going to ask you to speak your response in 1 or 2 sentences. Just go ahead and speak. We don't need to raise hands and call them. Just go ahead.
We were wondering if there's any way to add more human needs to your list, because we.
Yes, this is not exhaustive. Well, like what, Chuck? What was not on there that you wanted?
Consistency.
I would say dependability, consistency. Yeah, something that predictability. Right. Anything that you think all humans need at some point or other, you know, it's a universal, it's a need. Yeah.
I would say I found it useful to have the words here to look at to try to help define better what my emotional reactions are and understand the other person's feelings and how they're reacting, if you will. It just gives you something to, oh yeah, I get that. You know, this is what's going on with you. So yeah, having the words here is quite useful.
It's Paul, thank you for lifting that up. Our vocabulary about feelings, we may have that vocabulary, but we don't access it a lot. You know,
Yeah.
we don't use those words. Look at all those beautiful feelings down there, you know, and because we are, our society, sometimes, you know, we get negative feedback for expressing feelings. And as I said to the full group, those of you who are in dyads didn't hear me say this, I don't think, that when in doubt, let go of a feeling and get a need. Those universal human needs are so precious, and we don't have those on the tips of our tongue either. So for many years, I plastered this on my refrigerator so that I could access that. And as a quick aside, there's a couple apps. There's one called iGrok, G-R-O-K, iGrok. I think it's free. Maybe it's $1, but it's a quick access of feelings and needs that you can put on your phone.
Is that iGrok A or a C?
I and then G-R-O-K.
Okay.
Yes. And one or two. We have time for one or one and a half other responses to this exercise.
A little bit uncomfortable that people are dealing with deep personal needs rather than trying to detach and thinking about what society needs.
Oh, so is that Jennifer speaking?
No, Nina.
Nina, excuse me. And so Nina, if I'm hearing you, that you're longing for people to care both about their own needs, but even more so the common good.
Yes.
There are things we need as we need to act for the common good in our country, in our village, in our state. Am I getting you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So in my mind, it's both and. We want to be able to connect with what's true for us, because once we're connected to what we're feeling and needing, then we say, I want to get my needs met. And you might then be motivated to go out and work for the common good. So getting clear on what's true for us individually is paramount. But secondly, you're saying this is not just about individuals getting their needs met. This is about living in community, in harmony, a country that's functional and caring and puts into place programs that support people to thrive. And so, yes, I want to say, in any organization, whether it's a country or a church or a community group, there's the mission of that group, and that mission has the same kind of values in it that we talk about needing individually. And so we can't ever extricate ourselves as an individual from belonging to our group, to the church, to our country. And so that I appreciate that. Thank you. Very, very important point. And I'm going to move on now. So save your other questions or comments for another, for the chat. Okay, I'm looking at my watch. So I want to make one point. Okay, we're going to do this very, very quickly. Another illustration of the relationship of feelings and needs. A good friend of yours stops by your house, announced, and brings you 5 pints of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Okay, how many of you, I just wanted you to take that in for a minute. How many of you might feel, I'm not going to see because some people don't have their video on. So just take in, do you feel scared? Do you feel sad? Do you feel angry? Do you feel peaceful? Do you feel happy? Do you feel grateful? Which of those feeling words land for you? So just speak out a feeling that it comes to your mind.
Grateful, grateful. The party just started.
Grateful.
Happy.
Anybody feel?
Grateful.
I'm sorry?
Grateful. You're muted.
Some of you we can't hear because you're muted.
Larry, you're muted.
I feel a little anxious because it's such an unusual event. You know,
Okay.
never practical. I'm wondering why.
Yeah. Okay. I'm imagining that somebody who's a vegan who knows their friends know they're a vegan might be scared or angry, right? Because they're bringing something that they know is not sort of compatible with their eating. So the point here in this little mini exercise is to illustrate again that the reason some of you were grateful, I'm guessing, is because your need for surprise, companionship, fun might be met. But as I say, the vegan might feel angry because their need for sort of their own truth and their choices are not being seen by their friends, right? So this is to say that it's not, the stimulus is the same for all of us, but how we feel could be radically different from person to person. And the reason is because it's connected to the needs that are met or not met for us. So this core truth in NVC is teaching is that we can be, the other person doesn't cause us to feel a certain way. We say they are the stimulus, the person bringing the ice cream. I'm going to pretend I'm the vegan. The stimulus is the same. Somebody stops by with Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I'm feeling angry because I'm needing respect and just consideration and understanding for my choices, my eating choices. So I'm not going to say that my friend made me feel that way. It's her fault that she stopped by and brought it. In fact, it's connected to my own need for respect and consideration. And so when I realize those feelings arise because they're connected to my needs, then I am empowered to go get my needs met. You see, if I blame her for bringing that I'm feeling angry and it's her fault, then I've given up my power. The locus, because she can bring ice cream anytime she wants to rankle me, right? So you see, it's so key to self-responsibility to look at it this way. Okay, so that's a core teaching. I love it. And I'm going to move on to our last exercise because we just have a sliver of time left. And if you have questions about that, write them down. All right, the last thing we're going to do is talk about, and I promised Chuck and Jane that I would get to this. How do we express ourselves with sensitivity and care? I'm going to give you, there's a lot of things that keep us from speaking honestly to other people. Maybe we're afraid of being seen as unchristian. Maybe we think people at our job will not tolerate that kind of, honesty. Maybe we believe people will retaliate if we're honest. Maybe we're afraid of making things worse. And so it's not easy to speak honestly, but we want to do it with care and respect for others, as well as speaking the truth for us. So I want you to take out, if you have it, it's the piece of paper that says self-expression at the top. So when we want to speak honestly to another, we want to put into place those three things that distinctions that I talked about in the previous video. We want to make an observation. So I'm going to give you an example of when I was an interim minister at a church, and the associate pastor was being considered for the senior position, but I'm going to I'm going to try and protect the identity of the church and the person. That person was not chosen for the senior pastor position. I was the interim, and I was actually working with this associate. So this person got an interview before other outsiders. And so this is what I said. I was really concerned because I'd had emails and I'd been part of conversations where it was dividing the congregation a lot over, this person shouldn't have even been considered to this person should have been chosen. So I was really worried about what was going on. And before I go into these 4 things, I want to say it's really important before we speak our honesty, that if we have a preferred outcome to what we want to happen, we want to hold it lightly. We want to be open to shifting our strategy. We want to ask ourselves, are we valuing our own and everybody's needs? Or is this just about me? If we're just about me, we have more work to do before we speak. Is our intention to get the other person to change, to get our way, or connect to everyone's needs? We want to make sure we're not angry when we speak. This is not speaking honesty in sort of the traditional sense, in your face honesty. This is honesty connected to feelings and needs and spoken with an open hand. And it helps if we're used to just arguments and people going back and forth and the honesty is in your face honesty. It's helpful to say that our intention is to express our view and to hear the other person's point of view. It states up front, we're concerned about everybody's needs. So in the church example, I was meeting with a committee of people, and I said to them, when I remember 5 conversations and 3 emails I've had in the last 2 weeks, some expressing anger that the associate was not chosen and others expressing indignation that he was being considered, that's the observation. It's devoid of any interpretation or judgment. So I'm just noticing these conversations. And then I said, I'm feeling concerned and worried. Those are my feelings, because I'm needing hope that there will be trust in the search process as it moves forward. Needing hope and trust. Would you be willing, now here's my request. We like to start with, would you be willing? Would you be willing to listen for 10 minutes to an idea I have about a forum that I believe could bring hope and trust to the search process for the congregation? So that is it in a nutshell. Stating your observation, your feeling, your need, and your request. I spoke yesterday last week in the video, a little more about what's required. You want your request to be very specific. If I had just said, would you be willing to listen to some ideas? No, I said, would you be willing to listen for 10 minutes to an idea I have that I believe will bring trust to the search process? So that's, let's see, 9:38. So I don't think we have time to actually for any of you to do this exercise, but you have this, so you can use this template. If you're thinking about a difficult conversation you're going to have with someone, work through this. Take some time, do some journaling before you have that conversation, because all that prep work is going to help you both hold to your own values, what you're feeling and needing, all the data around it, and your requests, and it's sort of priming you to then listen, to the other person. Next week, this is sort of a segue, I guess, to next week. Next week, we're going to learn how to listen empathically. We did a little of that this morning in that first exercise, but we want to listen. If somebody says no to us, We want to hear what the yes is behind that no, and to be an empathic presence. So I'm just going to open it up for some questions in the last minutes we have here, instead of trying to cram in this exercise.
Seems like a full-time job to to get good at this. Yeah. We just don't walk away from this session and suddenly we're good at this.
No. Okay, Paul, thank you. It's a challenge. The first time that I came home from a workshop and my daughter said something in a public place that I felt really angry about, and had to do with me. And so I went home and I spent 45 minutes journaling about this. I said, I'm going to put this into place. I'm not going to react right now. I'm going to try and figure this out. And it took me 45 minutes to do this exercise, you know, that right here. So yeah. And I want to say something else, that when I was first learning this process, I'm still learning, by the way. I don't consider myself a master in any way. That somebody said to me that they started working on this sort of 1 out of 8 times in their family. 1 out of 8. The rest of the time, the other 7, sort of normal banter, everything they were doing. But they noticed it was making a difference in the quality of connection in their family. 1 out of 8. And so I believe that it does take something like a year, you know, but it's not, this is not rocket science. This is about listening for feelings and needs. So practice. You go to the grocery store and you see somebody yelling at their child in a way that does not seem respectful and considerate and helpful to you. So just take it in and say, oh, what am I needing? I'm needing everyone to have access to resources on parenting, where children are cherished and held with care and spoken to with this care and respect. So that's how we can practice. And I would say it takes a year for this, you know, for those needs, you know. So you're looking at your needs on your refrigerator door, and then all of a sudden they become second nature to you, and you're better at getting other people.
Leslie, on my computer, that was garbled. I don't know on other people's audio if they could hear Leslie.
Yeah.
At the moment, I can't go and change it in that specific situation. I could perhaps then think about making a donation, volunteering at a whatever, working on a hotline. But in the store at that moment, I can't change my feeling of sadness, and anger, and helplessness.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Who is that? I see Flurry Lynn on my, what's your name?
Yeah.
Flurry.
Flurry.
Okay. So yeah, that one, if we want to fix it, we're imposing, or we're trying to, you know, put our own power. We're using power over, and we're not trusting that that person has the resources. I love this quotation from somebody named Jacobson. An acorn has all the intelligence to become a great oak. And so we want to trust that. And in that moment, instead of wanting to fix or give advice or whatever, if the only other option open to us is to grieve. This person doesn't have the resources. Oh, I grieve because when I'm spoken to in that way, I just shrivel. You know, I can't see the beauty in myself if somebody's, you know, criticizing me or making demands of me. So we grieve. And that's part of what we're going to learn next week, is this process of grieving. And when we grieve, when we feel that deep, deep sadness and just, I don't know what else to call it, when we see that, when we witness that kind of harm in the world, we actually then become more connected to our needs for respect and care and consideration, and then we get creative and we think, what can I do? Well, maybe in this situation I couldn't do anything, but maybe I'm going to, volunteer at the battered women's shelter, or maybe I'm going to give money to a preschool program, or a parenting program, or something like that. And we become creative. And I want to say one more thing, Lori. My NVC partner, Myra, saw something like this at a Target once in a store. And she just hung around the aisle for a minute where this mother was in distress and with the child. And she actually went up to her and she said, is there something I can do to support you right now? Because there was a crying baby and another child or something. And she actually built trust in just a few moments and supported this mother in a way I don't know if I would have thought of that, but it sort of gives me chills to think about that she got creative. She wasn't there to tell the parent she was doing a terrible job. She wanted to make a palpable difference to support this parent.
Did it work?
I think so, because the mom needed to do something, and she actually trusted my partner to hold the baby for a few minutes while she attended to the other child or something like that. Now, of course, that's probably not likely to happen during COVID, but.
Leslie and everybody else, we are at time. Leslie, thank you for giving us your heart, your mind, yourself today. Anytime you come up, you encounter a new model for being a more effective human being in the world, it's challenging. And because we're not used to thinking and acting this way, but you've given us an avenue into exploring this new model. And I hope that everybody on the call today, thank you for being here, will hang in there, because sometimes you have to hear it 2 times, 3 times. So we do have one more session with Leslie next week. And in between now and then, take a look at the video interview if you haven't. And also there's the Winnetka packet in all that material, which kind of summarizes what Leslie's conveying to us.
It's been a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for your questions and your comments. It's so valuable to me, and I look forward to next week.